Hello and welcome everybody to today's episode of the JBA All In Podcast. Today we'll be discussing Dak Prescott's contract and if it's going to work out for the Cowboys. My name is Jack,
My name is Brendan.
and as we said, we've got a stacked video today talking about Dak Prescott, so let's jump right into it.
All right, so Dak Prescott, he signed a 4-year, $160 million contract, which is $40 million a year for the next 4 years starting this season. So this will continue on through the 2024-2025 season. So the 2025 offseason they have Dak Prescott's gonna be a Cowboy till 2025. Most likely. I believe there's also a no trade clause and all that stuff, so you most likely won't be getting traded out unless you demand a trade. So yeah, I mean, this is that $4 million a year is a lot. It makes him the second highest paid QB and also the potential to be the first highest paid QB in the league and the highest paid QB or highest paid player, I should say, of all time. Um, it's a big contract. But this guy right now is the face of the Cowboys franchise. Jack, how do you think this deal is going to work out? Do you think this was a good deal for the Cowboys? Um, and or do you think it was a bad deal for the Cowboys? And explain why.
Well, there's no denying that Dak is a phenomenal quarterback. I mean, before he got that brutal ankle injury, he was balling out. I mean, the Cowboys aren't doing great, but I think he was leading the league in yards, and that he was still up there, I think, in the top 10, even like 3 or 4 weeks after he was injured, right? So he can ball out, right? The team's not going to be great with him. I'll say that, at least for now. I don't think so. I think they're a 500 team, above 500, barely above 500 team. Sorry, Cowboys fans. But, I mean, Dak is great. I mean, $40 million a year, especially after that injury. I don't know what kind of state Dak's in. I don't know if he's running again. I don't know if he's walking or running again. But if you watch the clip, his ankle basically just snaps. I mean, it's terrible. You can't hate Dak. Everyone loves Dak, so it's tough to watch. But I don't know if he's gonna be back to normal Dak. I mean, the Dak we knew he had the legs, he could move the chains of his legs, he could throw the ball, obviously, even when he didn't have as many good weapons as other quarterbacks have. So I think if he can go back to old Dak, it's gonna be great. I mean, you're probably not gonna see much success because the Cowboys don't have, or I don't think the Cowboys will set them up great or themselves up great for the future. But $40 million a year for Dak, I think that's good. I think that other quarterbacks should be paid more, though, right? Like Deshaun Watson, especially younger quarterbacks. So Patrick Mahomes, we know, honestly, he might not be the best quarterback in the league anymore, but he's definitely top three, right? I'd say Aaron Rodgers is better than him, and in that Super Bowl, Tom Brady definitely was. So, his veteranship showed, and so Patrick Mahomes deserves all that money. He's gonna be the face of the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs' championship window is closing. But that doesn't mean that they're gonna be bad. He's gonna be good for years to come. For what is it, another 9 years? Um, but Dak is getting older. He's getting older. He already had a major injury. Uh, I think you said it was only 4 years, so it's not that big of a commitment. But if you look at the money, it's $40 million a year. This is a big risk with high reward, but you can also fall all the way down. You can also have, a great fall. And I think that it was good to re-sign Dak because he's a franchise quarterback. And in my opinion, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. I definitely think he is. When healthy, he can be even top 5 in some people's lists. But we're going to have to wait and see because I think this is very risky. If he can't move as well as it could, he's going to be worse. If you can't play, obviously, if you can't play like he was playing beforehand, it's not going to be a good contract. That's a lot of money to sink in to one player, especially if you don't know if they're going to be great. Like if Patrick Mahomes came off a brutal injury, like if he tore his ACL and then was paid that what was around $500 million, I would say that wasn't great because you never know. Sure, ACL injuries aren't as bad these days because we've got more medical technology, but they're still terrible. They could still ruin careers, and I'd say that's a bad contract. I mean, Dak's ankle pretty much snapped in half, so we don't know if he's going to come back, and we don't know if he's going to be as good as he was. So I'll just say it there. I want Dak to be good, and I think Dak can be good, but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
All right, so here's my thoughts on it. I mean, Dak Prescott as a QB for the Cowboys has a 42-27 record as a starter, and he has 4 full years starting, and one year, like this most recent year, where he only played 5 games. He was 2-3 this most year. So let's take out this year. Let's take out this year. Let's just take out this year. Let's just say forget this year. Let's think about before that. And before that, he was a very good QB. His rookie year, his team was 13-3, then 9-7, then 10-6. Those aren't bad records per se. That's about an average of, around a little bit under, not quite 11. That's about 11-5 much per season. And don't give me. And let's also think about this: the division next year in the NFC East. I think the only team you can really see challenging the Cowboys at this point right now is the football team, which I think is a very good roster. They just don't have a QB, which is pretty much the opposite of the Cowboys right now. They have a QB, but not much of a great roster around them. Their running game was weak last year. Next year you're going to have an amazing passing game. You are. They're going to have one of the best passing games in the league. The Cowboys are with Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott. But you're also paying a lot of money to Amari Cooper, a lot of money to Dak Prescott, a lot of money to Zeke. Those three players are three of the highest paid players at their own respective positions, and you'll have a great offense next year. Passing 100%. Maybe not running. Last year was a bit iffy. Maybe your O line can bounce back. Your O line struggled a lot last year. Maybe your O line bounces back a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But you're definitely 100%. If Dak's healthy, will have an amazing passing game. But your defense is also an issue last year. And if Washington gets a QB, just any QB that's just a good QB, just a decent QB, I think they have a bit of an edge. But right now, the Cowboys have the edge in that division since it's so weak. And this is an investment which they want to win out. They don't have the cap space, I don't think, to make their team good enough to win this year. They have under $1 million cap space now. So unless they do some drastic, cuts or trades or restructuring of contracts, they're not going to be they aren't going to be doing much else this offseason besides the draft, and maybe they can trade up in the draft or something like that. But really, it's not going to be this season most likely. It might be next season, but probably not. As of right now, they're in the negatives in cap space for that. But the next offseason and the one after that, they're pretty well set as of right now. Obviously, it'll change as they give out extensions, and they sign players, and those players' contracts overlap into those years. But they have a little bit of room to work with, and if you're gonna sign Dak for this much, yes, you could re-sign after 4 years, but still, I feel like this is a move. Like they want to be at least in contention for Super Bowl in these next 4 years, and it's probably not going to be this year, and it's probably not going to be next year. And in terms of making the roster around Dak good enough, and by the 2023 offseason, which I think is their first real good chance at really making a contender. I mean, who knows? Maybe Jerry Jones works some magic, but I don't think it's going to happen at least until 2023. I think that they won't be able to. They'll probably be a big offensive power team, offensively powered team. If they do it right, they'll probably draft O line since their O line's getting older. It struggled last year, all that stuff. They'll probably draft a good O line, draft O line defense. It should be good. We know what Zeke can do. I think a lot of Zeke struggles came with the offensive line struggles. You don't need to abandon Zeke yet. While he had a down year, and he's not looking like he definitely wasn't the same Zeke as he was years before. Last year, he only had. I mean, he still almost was a 1,000-yard rusher, even with him struggling. But he had 16,000 yards in his rookie season, 14,000 in 2018. In both those years, he led the league, and 13,000 in 2019. So we know what he's capable of with when the Cowboys line is playing well, because they've had one of the best lines in the league for a while. So I don't think you can abandon him yet, because he's good enough that if you draft O-line, you draft defense, and then in the 2023, 2024 off seasons before Dak Prescott's contract expires, you sign good free agents for your O-line and your defense. Maybe, receiver here and there, but really their receivers are fine. I feel like as long as they can hold on to CeeDee Lamb, and Gallup. But yeah, I mean, they'll be 100% fine. I think if as in 2023, 2024, I think they have room to work, but it's not going to be this year. It's not going to be next year. And by the next offseason, Dak will be almost 30. So he'll probably be 30 by the time they're in Super Bowl contention. So I think it's going to be in one of these 4 years where they have to at least become a contender. I mean, to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years, at least become a contender and may win it, a year or two after this contract expires and they extend him a little longer. But I really think it's going to be these next few years. This is like their window of opportunity to get better and become that contender right now. But their cap situation makes it hard in these next few years. So this makes it even harder. So it's probably going to be, like I said, in 2023 or 2024 is the years where they're going to have to really capitalize on even the little wiggle room they might have. They still restructure contracts, all that stuff. It can be get done. It can happen. So that's gonna do it. Short video, just talking about this Dak Prescott extension. We'll be coming at you with other short videos along the week. We hit like a little bit of a slump in uploading, but we will be uploading more often this week. We'll try to do our best to get more short videos out there. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.